conjunction with the German and American governments, this is an effort to build strong relationships and partnerships between young Germans Year. We have Jordan Blunt, Boerne High School. Robert Kohler, Champion High School. Amy Thornton, Boerne Middle School North. Jordan Mullendorf, Boerne Middle School South. Michael Gady, Voss Middle School. Melissa Stengel, Cibolo Creek Elementary School. Renee Coughlin, Currington Elementary School. Claudia Salazar, Fabra Elementary. Gloria Salas, Fair Oaks Ranch Elementary. Betsy Medford, Herf Elementary. Alexa Shaver, Kendall Elementary. Amy Smith, Van Robb Elementary. And Rick Alamillo, Boerne Academy. Let's hear it for our Teachers of the Year. At Saturday's Boerne Education Foundation fundraiser, Rock On, the district winners were announced. From Boerne High School, Michael Fain. From Champion High School, Colonel Michael Colbard. Boerne Middle School North, Evan Jose. Voss Middle School, Robert Gonzalez. Fabra Elementary, Sydney Leonard. Kendall Elementary, Katie Millette. Van Robb Elementary, Alexa Contreras. Let's hear it for our Campus Rookie Teachers of the Year. Boerne ISD District Rookie Teacher of the Year, from Fabra, Sydney Leonard. Of the Year. From Boerne High School, Shana Ramos. Champion High School, Bridget Brown. Boerne Middle School North, Jose Pepe Ramirez. Boerne Middle School South, Alyssa Schechter. Voss Middle School, Liliana Trevino. Cibolo Creek, Amy Coronado. Currington, Joanne Day. Fabra Priscilla Guerrero. Fair Oaks Ranch Angela Perez. Herv Allison Romney. Kendall Paige Peacock. From Van Rob Shea Flugents. From Central Office Eric Cabrera. From the Maintenance Department Santiago Pandardi. And from Transportation Catherine. Gives us great pleasure to announce the 2024 Boerne ISD District Support Staff of the Year, Bridget Brown, Champion High School.
Hi, my name's Quinn and welcome to Boerne High School. Today's wow moment will be in Mr. Fain's classroom where the students are learning how to play ukulele in music therapy.
Thank you for supporting every student, every teacher, and every school in Boerne ISD.
This month's Limelight recipient is 5th grader Connor Wyrick from Fair Oaks Ranch Elementary. Connor checks all the boxes when it comes to being a model student. He has consistently shown progress in his academics and built upon his strengths. Connor has demonstrated advanced math skills, solving complex problems, and excelling in mathematical concepts. To say that Connor is active outside of school is an understatement. He has a passion for adventure. His interests include off-roading in the Texas terrain, water skiing, kneeboarding, kayaking, and jet skiing during the summer months. In the winter, he has embraced the challenge of learning to ski. Connor is not only an ambassador to his school, but he is an ambassador to his entire community by helping new members of the community move into the neighborhood. He also participates in helping to clean church buildings. Connor has a meaningful and positive impact on his community and has a sense of responsibility, empathy, and community spirit. We are proud to recognize Connor Wyrick as our Limelight recipient and for being a great example of a true Mustang.
The Limelight is sponsored by HEB. Thank you for supporting students and teachers in Boerne ISD.
exercise. The committee was invited to identify key agencies and organizations in the area that can offer services and supports for our students and their families. I also have a PTO update as a PTO liaison. So our PTO presidents will be meeting again on April the 5th with Dr. Kraft. We also have a Love Kendall County Kids representative coming to meet with us at that particular meeting. May coming up is Teacher Appreciation Week is in May, so all of our PTOs will be super busy. It's game time for PTOs, so hopefully we'll have a lot of support and love and just thankfulness for our teachers and staff at every campus.
Okay, last week the Facilities Committee met and we got an update on the status of all the projects. Currently moving into the bid process after the design work was done was the library improvements and the library updates at Fair Oaks Ranch Elementary, Kendall Elementary, and Cibolo Creek Elementary. Next month we will be receiving the bids with finishing design work for the Currington Elementary School Library. And this summer work will begin on the Boerne High School Courtyard project. The report we got was that the Viola Wilson Elementary School is on track for the completion date for it to open and welcome new students this coming August with the 24-25 school year. And the boundary committee has been meeting and reviewing various options for the rezoning with the addition of our 8th elementary school. A survey with the 2 recommended options will go out to community in early April, and then it will be going to the school board for approval at our April meeting. The Boerne ISD Stadium, it's largely completed. It should be completed in the next week with the new visitor stands being installed, and that's most of the updates there. And Mark Stahl informed us that we are on time and on budget, and both additions of the 2 high schools, the one at Boerne High School, which will house the Health Careers P-Tech program, as well as the addition at Champion, which will house the cybersecurity program, and other CT courses are on time and on budget. That is the update.
And wanted to add in one thing on the boundary committee. In a lot of fast growth districts, which we are, obviously they change boundaries every year because it just ends up being what they have to do because of planning. I'm pretty proud of what we've been able to do so far. Up to date, we just have multi-year boundary plans, and just make sure anybody that knows, we understand how incredibly disruptive that is. Especially you might have a kid going to one elementary school one year, and then their siblings, and it's, no matter what you do, it's disruptive. And I think we've done a pretty good job of making the boundaries last as long as possible, and I'm sure we'll do that again. But just want to make sure everybody knows that a lot of effort goes in that process to make sure that we can keep as much time in between having to make these type of decisions as possible.
I think that's a good point, Joe. And I was at a school conference this weekend. I was talking to a trustee from a fast growth district in the Metroplex. They're growing much, much faster than we are. And I said, I asked John, I said, how often do you guys rezone? He goes, every year. I said, every year? Now that doesn't affect every kid at every level every year, but they're adding that many schools that it's a never-ending process. And fortunately, we're spared from that, as you mentioned.
Great. Anything else, Rich? Garrett?
The Finance Committee did meet this month. We had a good meeting. There was some good news. The investment income that we've received just from the higher interest rate environment has enabled us to take some off the budget deficit that we had budgeted last year, and so that's coming about $1 million less than it would have been. Just a reminder. I always like to point this out. That deficit was funded with unexpected surpluses from last year, and so it wasn't something that was just an ongoing deficit. Not to that degree. So we had some good news there as far as the investment income on our investments. We also looked at, as far as the general fund goes, how that's going to look when we go through the budget process. We're We're projecting about $24 million in the general fund now at the end of the fiscal year, which puts us in good shape, and it gives us some ability to, make some maneuvers as far as the budget goes in the next fiscal year. So I thought that was promising as well.
Jessica?
The Communications Committee met on February 28th. This was a really great committee meeting. This was Dr. Kraft's first time engaging with the Communications Committee. And really our job is to get feedback regarding the district and campus communication goals. We've done a lot of things since the inception of the committee. So right now we're looking at a potential survey and just some of our focuses like Boerne customer service, better ways to get feedback from our parents, and easy things like QR codes just to give us some feedback. So we have a lot of things in the works, and we'll probably have a more tactical report next month.
Maritza?
Yes, just with Boerne Education Foundation, of course, we had our Rock On huge event this past Saturday, so thank you to everyone who attended. The committee is super excited. They're still calculating the numbers, but they did exceed the live auction and silent auction goals, so thank you all to everyone that participated. Of course, we couldn't do this without our community sponsors and everyone else that participated, so thank you so much. It was a wonderful, magical night. Thank you. And then just to add a little bit more to the boundary with the committee there, we do have about 30 people who have been participating. Again, that's a lot of our principals, and we have parents involved in that, and that are definitely the voice of other parents. So thank you to those that are volunteering. I think we've got some great options that are coming up in the survey in a couple of weeks. I believe April 1st through the 5th is when that survey will be out, so the parents can vote on that. And something that I know I mentioned to the committee is that we've been tracking about, I guess every 3 years is kind of when we're redoing our boundaries. So that's something just important to keep track of. I know you guys mentioned, of course, that we've been doing a great job with the 3 years versus one for the really fast-growing communities. And so that was kind of eye-opening to the parents when we talked about about every 3 years, just have it in the back of your mind. We're probably going to have to change the boundaries. So just want to point that out. So thank you again to everyone.
Thank you, Maritza. The only other thing I would add, BEF, it was a phenomenal night, great event. I'm really a little disappointed that Mr. Owen, Mr. Meyer, and Mr. Ladiolas aren't wearing the same shirts tonight. Thank you to your wives for providing us the comic relief on Saturday night. So, with that, Dr. Kraft will move to reports and go to superintendent's report.
All right, well, thank you. Well, every weekend is quite busy, but this weekend was just the same. So again, thanks to all of our leaders who are out there in the audience for being at the Rock On event, and Matt Myers for serving on the executive board for the Boerne Education Foundation to help put all those wheels in motions as well. So a great event. We also had a busy one-act play weekend, and both of our high schools did very, very well, and they're progressing on to the next level. So we're quite proud of all the teaching and learning that takes place that helps those students excel. And you saw many, many students tonight. And just remember, there's just a fantastic team behind the success of all of our students. So a shout out to all of our teachers. I was able to spend time last week with our teaching and learning team, hearing about their points of pride for their current work, then also what's coming on the radar. Thinking about growing STEM, how are we marketing fine arts, our continued endorsements in CTE, and meeting the needs of our special education and EB students. And our teaching and learning team has hosted a number of school districts. There are many districts interested in how Boerne ISD rolled out Reading Academy and has been training teachers on phonics instruction and to keep it going. So our elementary principals will remember their hours in the Reading Academy, but now that hard work means we have to keep it going and make sure that all of our K-1-2 students have a very solid foundation in phonics. And so recently we've had Medina Valley, Southwest ISD, and Purcell ISD make visits to our elementary classrooms to see all the great things happening with phonics instruction and our approach to teacher collaboration. So we're very proud of that. And I just want to say I'm very impressed with our continual leadership development. Our principals have spent a lot of time together with Dr. O'Hare and Ms. Flores, really thinking about change management and projects along the way. And many of them have been working on stay interviews with teachers, and we're coming into that hiring season, and it's so important that they're hearing the voice from their teachers about why they stay. and it's just been very insightful. We also had a student panel recently, and some big takeaways from our student panel. Very awesome kids who really have told us they want to be challenged. They don't feel like anyone should feel alone when they come to school, and really excited to have an engaging learning experience and a sense of belonging. So those are the big key messages coming out of our student panel, and then our principals took that information, and many of them may be planning student panels as well. You've heard a number of updates on our campus boundary committee work, and just want to say thank you to Dr. O'Hare for his leadership in that. You also met our CLA members tonight, and when I came on board, I was able to participate in 3 of those sessions. It has been such an honor to meet all of our community members. Great attendance at all the sessions, very engaged. They had a field trip out to the new Viola Wilson Elementary. They've been at a number of our elementary campuses, and I've just been really impressed with the opportunities that Boerne has built to grow leaders and inform our community members of all the great work happening here. And then you met our UIL Young Filmmakers tonight, and we showcased one of our students at the State of the District, so it was great to see her again. But again, there was a phenomenal team, 2 teachers behind that work, Lindsay Berkey and Jeff Bogle, and just their teams have done phenomenal work with their leadership and guidance, and I can't thank those 2 teachers enough. As a reminder, we have Easter holiday weekend coming up, so there's a holiday Friday, and there's a holiday on Monday. And then finally, I want to share some exciting news with our team. This evening, Dr. Howard was named lone finalist for Superintendent in Sherryland ISD, and we are very excited for you, and thank you for all. Dr. Howard, I'm so thankful for your support in my transition to the district just since January, and so I've known the kind of those phases that you're entering into right this very minute, and I just want to say thank you for all you've done for me and for all you've done for our school district. And your fingerprints are on so many things, and we just wish you all the very best in the transition. And with that, I'll turn it over to Carlin.
Congratulations, Dr. Howard. A couple of things you touched on, Dr. Kraft. I want to just kind of circle back if I can. State of the District, I think this is our first board meeting since that was presented for the chamber. And I have heard nothing but positive accolades throughout the community on your connection with the students, your connection with the community. It was a very well delivered message, so congratulations on that. The other thing to highlight is, we always talk about we are a destination district, and people move here because of the school district, and we hear that from community leaders, elected officials, everybody. As a realtor, I hear it a lot that people move here that she talks to because of the district. So it's neat that it's not just community members here, but we have visits from other school districts coming to use us as a model. So it's another place that we're becoming a destination for them to learn from us. And that starts at the leadership and the cabinet level. So thank you all for what you do. With that, we'll move to instruction and instructional materials. Ms. Flores.
Good evening, Mr. President, Dr. Kraft, and members of the board. Tonight I bring to you what I'll be sharing, instructional materials adoption. Everything that I'll be sharing with you today, this evening, ties directly to our scorecard under student success, human capital, and fiscal responsibility. As required by board policy EFA Legal, I present to you the final recommendations for instructional materials for Proclamation 2024. The State Board of Education issued Proclamation 2024 at its April 2022 meeting to call for science, grades K through 12, technology applications K through 8, and several CTE courses. The State Board adopted materials for Proclamation 2024 in November of 23, and so the adopted materials will go into classrooms in the 24-25 school year. BISD has developed local guidelines in order to meet the requirements for the selection of instructional materials, and those can be found here. Also submitted in your board packet is our Administrative Procedures Guidebook. As part of our guidelines, we established a team as needed to select instructional materials to be purchased with the district's instructional materials allotment. The team made selections based upon district instructional needs and in accordance with admin guidelines. Our guidelines indicate that the adoption committee members must be comprised of no fewer than 5 and no more than 15 members. The committees shall be composed of professional staff, with the majority being classroom teachers with experience in serving students in different populations, principals who represent the relevant grade bands, content area teachers, and parents. And the committee is led by the content area experts and specialists from the Teaching and Learning Department. Our guidelines also specify a timeline for the process of adopting the materials, and this process was followed for the 3 different subject areas. So beginning in September through October, initial planning and the inviting of members to participate occurred, then followed with orientation meetings to familiarize all with the process. Some meetings were held virtually and the others were in person. In late December through January, publishers were asked to be brought in to actually demonstrate how some of the products worked, because a lot of them did have digital components along with them. In late January through February, meetings were held to finalize these recommendations, and brings us here tonight, where I'll be seeking board approval for these recommendations. And if approved, tomorrow we'll begin the purchasing process and the negotiations. For your reference, all of the dates each committee met is labeled here. So our final recommendations for science are McGraw-Hill for K through 5, biology, chemistry, physics, IPC, and aquatic science. Houghton Mifflin Harcourt for grades 6 through 8. Pearson Savas for astronomy and AP chemistry. And Cengage for science, anatomy and physiology, forensics, and health science theory. Our final recommendations for technology applications is Ellipsis Education for grades K through 5, with Typing Club Pro as a supplement. For grades 6 through 8, we currently use Project Lead the Way curriculum, so only K through 5 is being recommended today. Our final recommendations for some of our CTE courses: Code High School for Fundamentals of Computer Science and Computer Science 1, Goodyear Wilcox for Child Development, Instructional Practices, Child Guidance and Medical Terminology, and SDC Publications for Intro to Computer-Aided Drafting and Design. There are several reasons all these committee members agreed why these are the best recommendations. Number one, all the materials are 100% aligned with our new or updated TEKS for each subject area. They are aligned with the BISD instructional blueprint, with resources that promote reading, writing, and rigorous instruction. Products offered had digital components for teacher and students for easy printable resources. A lot of the materials included built-in labs and hands-on activities that incorporated a full range of assessments for teachers' access. Materials are also compatible with our existing platforms such as Clever and Google Classroom, and of course, fiscal responsibility. The training for our staff on all these materials is included in the cost of our science adoption. Technology applications, there is no need for professional learning for the staff, and for CTE, tomorrow we'll begin working with the publishers to ensure that training is provided within the costs. There are no questions.
I just have one. So I know that we're always updating curriculum, teach change. We have to keep up, and there were a lot of programs listed there. Is there anything that the committee and the recommendations for this year that kind of falls outside of just keeping up with TEKS, and that basically, has there been any, in your mind, significant changes in any areas in the focus of the curriculum, or is this really all just kind of marginal, incremental, keeping up? Okay.
We're just keeping up with the TEKS. Now, some of these adoptions, we haven't had new textbooks in some of our courses in a very long time, so a lot of the actual books were old. And so now some of these adoptions materials will have digital components, which the teachers were extremely excited about.
Thank you.
And I know there's like a rotational system by subject. So what is it, every couple of years there's a different?
Biennium, yes.
Okay. And I appreciate you sharing what the process was that our district used, because that was going to be one of my questions. So I'm glad it's compatible with our blueprint and has all the features that y'all were looking for. Do you know what process the State Board of Ed uses? Do they use a similar process, or?
It's very similar, but on a much larger scale.
And you may mentioned earlier, if you did, my apologies, can you share again, what's the makeup of that committee? Like, what's all the different perspectives we're getting in?
Oh, so we have parents, teachers, principals, content area specialists.
So both inside and outside the district?
Correct. Elementary and secondary. and every campus was represented on each committee.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
You say, so you're gonna start the process for procuring those tomorrow. Did you say that you're gonna negotiate the prices?
There's
on
some
them?
things that we can do to negotiate a lower price, to bundle certain things, certain products, and of course, our instructional materials coordinator is pretty good at his job. He does a good job of getting those vendors down to what we need.
Good. Trying to hard bargain. Good.
I would have thought like the state just set that price or something.
No,
I'm
sir.
surprised that we have any leverage, you know, but that's good.
So if there are no questions, Mr. President, at this time I respectfully ask for approval of the instructional materials presented for proclamation of 2024.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. Mr. Scott. Your monthly financial report.
Good evening, everybody. You've been provided the results of operations for the year, or the period through February 28th this fiscal year. The budgetary comparison report doesn't contain anything too spectacular. I don't think I would get too excited about the results of operations of the Child Nutrition Fund at this point in time. I think that's a little exaggerated, just due to timing. There are no budget amendments presented in this report. The donations report does reflect the Fair Oaks PTO donation that we presented a big check on in the last meeting. That we actually received those monies in the month of February, and so that's reflected there. We certainly appreciate every dollar, goods, service, hours donated to the district. You'll see on the tax collections report that the percentage dipped a little bit below last year's, and I think I have a decent theory about that, and it goes back to interest rates again. If you're there's a couple of categories of taxpayers, primarily those over 65, that are allowed to pay in installment payments in January, March, May, and July without penalty or interest. And I think they're taking advantage of higher interest rates again to stretch out and take advantage of their dollars. Whether that scenario actually works out for them or not is another matter, but I think they're taking advantage of that. So we saw in January percentages go above historical averages, because that's when one of the installment payments are due. I expect we'll see that again in March when that next installment's due. If you have any questions or comments about the report, I'm happy to entertain those at this time.
Yeah, as far as the penalties kick in February, but they're not too bad. Don't they kick in a big way in July?
They do. They do. I couldn't quote you chapter and verse.
That's okay. Because we're over 95% collected for the year, and I know we usually get a pretty big infusion in May and June.
Yes.
The other question I have on the tax collection report was the adjustments. Is that due to the appraisal district changing the values on appeal, and therefore the tax bills get reduced?
Yes, that appeal process goes on all year long. So
Okay.
You'll see most of that in between when the tax statements are received, or the valuation statements are received in May, and at the end of the official period is July. But you'll still see in those cases, and to a large extent, the last 2 years they have not been able to meet those. The appraisal district's not been able to meet those deadlines just due to volume of cases filed.
So even though they certify the values in time for us to adopt a budget or adopt a tax rate, the reality is they continue to handle appeals, which could impact the assessed value of the district.
Yes, and in the past, those numbers always moved, but you never had to worry about those from a planning standpoint. These past couple of years, due to the volume of cases, we've really had to pay attention to that into the fall before we get what's called the certified roll in October. Right?
And that's because we're using current year values. The legislature has us use current year, yeah.
Yes.
So as you talked about the tax collection and falling behind from where we were last year, but I think it's important to recognize it's only 0.45% behind, so it's not a significant number. So.
Correct.
Any other questions from Mr. Scott? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the budget amendments, donation report, and tax collection report as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion from Risa and a second from Garrett, I think.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Last item on the agenda is future business items. At our April 15th meeting, we will have our quarterly investment report, we'll review contracts, and attend policy, CTE report, P-TECH report, and as we've just been talking about, we'll have elementary school boundary recommendations. So with that, if there's no further business, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a